Okay. Come, Holy Spirit,
Fill the hearts of your faithful, and kindle in them the fire of your love.
send forth your Spirit, and they shall be created.
And you shall renew the face of the earth.
Ever since I was little, I feel like I've always been looking towards the next goal or stage of my life. I've never been one to focus on where I am, constantly impatient for what comes next. As a child growing into adulthood, you're often asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? And most of your later adolescence is spent contemplating and stressing about this. There was always some question I get about the next stage in my life. What do you want to be when you grow up? Then where do you want to go to college? Then after I was engaged, there were questions about getting married, and then after marriage, questions about children. And while I think these questions are good to have answers for, and good conversation starters, I feel as if perhaps we get too wrapped up in the future. As a young teen, I wanted to be a nun. With all of my heart, I wanted to be close to God, and the only place I truly felt that was alongside sisters I met, where I was constantly directed to God by others. And while I wanted to be a mother more, I felt safety in the life of a nun. I didn't feel safe growing up, and I started to look towards convent life as a form of escape. I remember very vividly when I was around 16, the same year I discerned with some sisters out in Kansas. I spent an evening scouring the internet trying to find a convent that would take me under 18. There aren't any here. I had a really rough time with my mental health as a teenager. Suffering from extreme depression and self-hatred, I constantly had this feeling of just wanting to go home. And while I didn't physically want to die, I wanted the pain to be over and to be close to Jesus. And so I was always looking for that physical safety here on earth. My heart was searching for a way to be close to God, to feel safe, but I was too focused at looking towards an escape, somewhere in the future, not realizing God was with me where I was. When I was almost 18, after a few failed relationships, I started dating my now husband, Benjamin. After only a few months later, when we began discussing marriage, and it felt like once that door was open, we were never really able to sit in the present again. And we struggled really badly at keeping God as a focal point of our relationship, always thinking, oh, when we get engaged, we'll start putting in more effort, or when we're married, it'll come naturally. Let me tell you, it does not come naturally. Since getting married, I have warred with myself and with God. My deepest desire has always been to be a mother. Even when discerning convent life, I would cry over the fact that I would never be a biological mother if I said yes to that vocation. And as a young teen, when I imagined married life, I was always focused on motherhood and not being a wife. And now, after being married for a year, I'm still struggling with that. I've had so many battles with God this past year, as I felt like I'm in a never-ending state of limbo, just waiting to be a mother. When we got married, Benjamin and I went into marriage with the expectation that now that we were married, it would be really easy to get pregnant and start our family. Not fully comprehending that we started our family the day we united ourselves with each other before. Sorry. As months passed and we watched our friends and family get married and blessed with children, take your time. You're okay. I fell more and more back into depression. That feeling of just wanting to go home, returning, along with the self-hatred. I have constantly been asking myself what is wrong with me, to the point that I was no longer allowing myself to feel a happiness around family and friends. I've known for a few years that I have some health concerns that can cause infertility, but I've often pushed them away, thinking, surely once we get married, it will be easy. Plus, God works miracles every day, so surely He can bless me with children. But I'm still carrying the cross of infertility, waiting on our little miracle, and I've let a lot of anger fester from it, which began to cause a lot of frustration in our marriage. What felt like a cross we should be bearing together started to come between us, causing small fights everywhere. That began turning into bigger fights. It was so hard for us to unite and turn to God together when we couldn't even have simple conversations together. But over the past few months, I've been trying to find ways to slow down, to focus on now, and to focus more on my relationship with God. As I'm sure most of you understand, the feeling of closeness to God ebbs and flows. And this slowing down and finding peace with Him has really helped my relationship with Him and with my husband. One beautiful thing that helped this process is what I like to think is a mini miracle God gave me. It was Christ the King, and I was kneeling during consecration just minutes before associating into Regnum Christi. It's funny because after Mass, my husband asked if I thought that the Father had held the Eucharist up for longer than normal. And finally, I think Father unknowingly did that for me. Because as he held the Eucharist up, a shadow cast across it in the shape of the face of Jesus, greatly resembling a picture I grew up seeing in my house. This image of the face of Jesus is still very vivid in my mind, and I call it forward whenever I need a reminder that God is near. I'm so thankful he's given me that gift to hold on to. While writing this talk, I looked up some quotes from the saints about finding God in the present, because honestly, I've been struggling so much with that for a long time, and I wasn't really sure I was the right one to talk on this. But I found one from St. Francis de Sales saying, "The past must be abandoned to God's mercy, the present to our faithfulness, the future to divine providence." The past must be abandoned to God's mercy, the present to our faithfulness, and the future to divine providence. This was perfect because I recently found a prayer of abandonment on Laudate, which I'll share later, which I've been praying after Mass. And isn't that quote so true? We have to abandon our past and current crosses to God. Let him heal us. Let him help us carry them. Abandon our present to our faithfulness in him, remembering he is always beside us, especially in our suffering, and abandon our future to his divine providence, trusting that he has great plans in store for us. The pain of wanting children I'm not sure I will ever have, the mourning I feel towards a part of me I haven't been able to hold, is still very present and very hard to carry, even with this gift of peace. But I've started to focus on slowing down, being with my husband, being near God, sending prayers up to him and our mother, and trusting him with our future. Abandoning my desires, not forgetting them, but giving them to him to do as he wills, not as I wish. Because I truly do trust that he knows what is best for me. So that's what I suggest to you if you're struggling to find God in the right here, right now. Take a moment to try and slow down and focus on the little things God blesses you with. It doesn't always outweigh the hardships, but the more we focus on him and his blessings, the closer we will feel to him and start to understand his plan. Father, I abandon myself into your hands. Do with me what you will. Whatever you may do, I thank you. I am ready for all. I accept all. Let only your will be done in me and in your creatures. I wish no more than this, Lord. Into your hands I commend my soul. I offer it to you with all the love of my heart, for I love you, Lord, and so need to give myself, to surrender myself into your hands without reserve and with boundless confidence. You are my Father. Amen.